Out of the 3 games that defined my childhood, Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos is easily the longest. So I split it in 2. In the last video, I covered the human and the undead campaign. Today, I'm going to finish up with the Night Elves and the Orcs. Not in that order. Finish off the whole game killing that big blue Klingon that we spent the entirety of the last mission of the Undead campaign summoning. No, this is not a review. Just a guy with fond memories. The journey of Thrall and the Orcish Horde is what really kicked off this game. It was the Prologue Mission that I said I wasn't going to cover until I talked about the Orcs. We're going to talk about the Orcs, so we're going to talk about the Prologue Mission. The Prologue Mission is basically Thrall getting a vision from the prophet, Bird Jesus, telling you that you're meant to lead your people to freedom across the sea to the distant lands of Kalamazoo. Because like Jaina, Thrall actually drank the Kool-Aid. So basically there's 3 prologue missions. There's 2 prologue missions. The first one is basically you learning how to move around and ride your wolf and chain lightning things to death. And the second one is basic base building, orc style, and freeing Grom Hellscream, who's a complete badass, who has a son who also did nothing wrong. Don't you fucking start. You had your time. Garros did nothing wrong. The Orc campaign starts when you actually land on Kalimdor, but you have to rally your forces yet again because all your ships got smashed up when you passed through the Raging Maelstrom. The Raging Maelstrom is this neat little never-ending storm in the center of Azeroth that's never-ending, and it was created 10,000 years ago when the world well collapsed when Sargeras tried to come through when the Burning Legion first invaded. I learned that from that neat little book that disintegrated, unfortunately. At the end of the first mission, you meet Cairn, chief of the Bloodhoof Tauren, and then you assist him in defending his village against centaurs. Actual centaurs, not spider centaurs. In the next mission, you help Cairn escort a bunch of Kodos to Mulgore, which is where his people are now going to settle because it has one entrance, and he closes it at the end, so I guess he's protected from the centaurs forever now. Meanwhile, you get another neat little in-game cutscene where you see the fancy red Dreadlord Tichondrius talking to Manaroth, a demon centaur, and he is mad. And rightfully so. The orcs have fled him, and they're his by right, and he will claim them wherever they choose to run. And then Archimonde shows up and reminds Manaroth that he's his bitch, and then, I guess they fuck off to Ashenvale. Several days later, after Thrall has been marching through the Barrens, I think, with some grunts and a Kodo and some peons, he finally comes across Grom Hellscream, doing what he loves doing best, killing people. Thrall tells him to calm the fuck down, and Grom's like, alright, sure. And he does calm down, he listens. Until you complete your objectives of building a base. And then he can wait no longer. The humans must be slaughtered. But once you get some Goblin Zeppelins, which is the mission's objective, Thrall's still really mad at Grom, and he's like, you know what? Go into the woods. Build me a settlement. So he does. Meanwhile, back in Ashenvale, the mission starts, and Thrall wasn't kidding. He really wants you to build that settlement because the objective for this mission is 15,000 lumber. You literally have to cut down the entire forest. All the trees. Even the live ones. But all this chopping disturbs the locals, the Night Elves. And they attack you and kill you on sight. As is their right, you are trespassing on their land. Then you see some goblins, and they're like, hey, there's these bear people. If you fucking kill them, we'll give you our shredders, and those chop trees way faster than your guys do. And Grom's like, killing people? Okay, I guess I could do that. Tichondrius and the Demon Centaur arrive and are discussing how best to deal with these natives that they've fought before. And got their asses handed to them. So Tichondrius is like, hey, all the orcs drank your blood and got all souped up before, right? And he's like, yeah. So Tichondrius is like, hey, what happens if they drink your blood twice? And then Manaroth's like, brilliant. So he spills his burning blood into the fountain. And I guess they hope the orcs will be drawn to it. I mean, Tichondrius says they'll be drawn to it, but they're drawn to it. Remember these night elves that are pretty mad about people trespassing on their land and killing people on sight, as is their right? It's their land. Well, it turns out they have an actual god named Cenarius, who's a fucking badass. So what happens is right away you get your ass completely fucking handed to you by Cenarius and all these night elves. They come pouring out of the forest. A grunt screams, "To the other side of the river!" And that's what you should do. Don't do what I did. I tried to fight him, which was... The best thing to do is to fall back, reinforce, and wait. Because the next trigger for the mission is when you survive the after onslaught. Because eventually when he destroys everything on the other side of the river, you get another cutscene where he regrows the forest. Because he's a demigod. This was the first and only mission I failed several times in a row. The rage I felt at repeatedly getting porked over and over again in an RTS is kind of similar to failing to make a jump or getting your ass handed to you by RNG or something similar like that. But instead of just getting mad and throwing the controller and breaking everything I own, this is more like, man, I gotta try better next time. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, a troll finds the energies from the well. Grom finds it, and he's like, fuck it, let's drink this shit. And he does. And they get super roided out, and they become so juiced that they turn red instead of green. That's what happens if you drink demon blood twice. You turn red. Around the same time, Thrall arrives at the base of Stone Talon Peak, where he's seeking an audience with the Oracle. Spoiler alert, it's Jesus. But then Cairn Cairn and some Minotaurs show up to join you. Then you kill some harpies, you rescue some wyverns, which look like manticores, and then you kill the big blue base at the top of the peak, and into the caves you go. The next mission is a dungeon crawl, and Thrall and Cairn immediately split up. And it works this time because this is not a horror movie. Thrall has to kill a dragon and get a heart for a statue, and Cairn has to kill a hungry rhino, and well, he doesn't have to do that, but kill the hungry... Actually, don't kill the hungry rhino. Let him eat the mushrooms. Cairn has to get a key after killing some pigs, and then you unlock the door, and then you get a magic bridge, and then you talk to the Oracle, and what do you know, it's Jesus. Jaina's there too, and Medivh actually manages to talk some sense into all of them, and this was actually very refreshing, because they didn't go with the whole, oh, I'll never trust them. No, they've clearly all seen some shit, and they're like, you know what? We've been killing each other for decades now, but the situation calls for cooperation. Final mission time! Thrall and Jaina both build up two separate bases at the base of a big mountain where Grom and the Warsong have entrenched themselves. They think that working together they can free the Warsong and Grom from the demon's grip. But to tell you the truth, I don't think he wants to be saved. Well, too fucking bad. They're all gonna get saved, even if I have to kill every single one of them to do it. So at a certain point in the mission, infernals begin raining from the sky. I'm not sure if this is a timed thing or if it's waiting for something specific to happen, but it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it back then, and I think it's pretty neat now. Once you get to Grom, Grom basically says, hey, you know that stuff you think was forced upon us? Nah, we did it willingly. And I did it willingly this time, too. Thrall gets fucking mad. And you take Grom and you shove him in the magic orb, and you go back to the magic circle and you scrub him till he's green again. Then, when he's done, Grom tries to apologize, but Thrall's had it. Thrall basically says, shove your apologies up your ass. Let's go kill this fucking demon. I'll deal with you later. And they do. Well, Grom does. In the end, Grom dies. But he saves his people. Honestly, my opinion of this campaign, this section of the game, is the same now as it was back then. It's too fucking short. And the missions are too fucking long. Or at least they felt the longest. And yes, I will be talking about the Frozen Throne eventually. But I was pretty upset that that game didn't get like a flushed out proper orc campaign. I just got the Rexar stuff. Nothing against Rexar. I liked it. It just wasn't what I wanted. At the time, it was pretty much just, hey, we got this game called World of Warcraft we're working on. You wanna play? Yes. But not right now. But now, it's time to save the world. In my youth, I would dread the Night Elf campaign. Dread it. Because it was my least favorite. But if you don't like it, why do you play it? I hear everyone ask in SpongeBob sarcastic text. Because it didn't matter if I liked it or not, it was the ending of the game. I had to stop the Burning Legion and the Dark Lord Archibald. But I'm getting distracted. My point is, I used to hate this section of the game. Now, it's my favorite. It starts off with Tyrande Whisperwind, your hero unit for this game, and she's bitching about some Outlanders, so naturally, you gather a force and you go attack them. And like several of the other missions before this mission is basically, this is how Night Elves work mission. But this is the most important one because in my opinion, they probably play the most different of any of the races. 1, their base unit is ranged. The Archer. 2, they're limited in certain ways, similar to the Undead. They can only suck gold from gold mines after a tree of life has entangled it, and they can only suck lumber from trees. They can't tear them down. But that's not really a limitation. And when they build said buildings, most of their buildings are living trees. And the unit, the Wisp, is consumed in the process of awakening the Ancient. Which is pretty cool. 3, finally, and most importantly, their food building, it's called a moon well. And it's a well that fills up when it's nighttime. I just realized this game has day-night cycles. This is the only race that it matters for. Also, all their lady units can hide when it's dark outside, which is pretty cool. And I never used. I still don't use, because I forget about it. But anyway, the moon well heals your units. And I never used it. I used it now, but not back then. You can probably see why I didn't care for the Night Elves. Because you can't fucking read. Idiot! This was also about the time that I really noticed the music. Like I'd come to find later on when I discovered other RTS games, the RTS genre has really good music. It's long and ambient and repeatable, and Warcraft is no exception to that rule. And honestly, the Night Elf music is probably my favorite. By the time you finally get to the end of this training mission, the Legion shows up and fucking murders everybody. Whoopee! The next mission immediately starts off with Tyrande running away from the big blue baddie himself. And then she turns invisible, and this RTS becomes Metal Gear Solid. At the end of the mission, she makes it to safety, and she quickly realizes how fucked everybody is. So she's gonna wake up her sleepy boyfriend. Now, the timer for this mission is actually really neat. There's ghouls chopping down trees to get to... I'm not going to say CB boyfriend again. His name's Malfurion Stormrage. He's the Arc Druid of the Moonglade. I should show him some respect. But they're chopping through trees, and it has the tree counter instead of a time counter, which they could have used in the boat level where Arthas was trying to burn his own ships down. But it's too late for that now. Tyrande makes it to the place, she blows the horn, and Malfurion wakes up, and he's mad. So unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this game pre-reforged. He never used to ride the elk until the Frozen Throne. In the Reign of Chaos, he just walked around. Thanks, Reforged. Oh my god, it's so much better. The Druid's Arise is the next mission, and it's one of the only missions that I remember the name of. The other one is also in the Night Elf campaign. It really highlights how the Night Elves play differently from the other races, and it makes you use those in a very unique way. You have to get to point... Oh, there's something in my eye. Oh no, get out! Wildemar, help! I can't, Tim! There's something in my eye, too! Oh, I got it. No, I didn't. Oh, God, Tim, hurry! Oh, fuck. Oh, I got it. Oh. Don't worry, I got it. So the point of this mission is to get to the other end of this big, long valley to wake up your brothers, the Druids of the Talon. But along the way, there's very limited resources. So, instead of making a base, sucking up all the resources and having to keep building buildings, the Night Elf buildings can uproot, walk somewhere else, and plant themselves. It's pretty cool. In fact, it's really cool. Eventually, you make it to the end of the really spooky, scary forest, and there's a gold mine where you can actually finally settle down for realsies and build a base, kill these evil goatmen, and wake up your brothers. Next, you get to wake up the Druids of the Claw underground. They're bear guys. But a little ways into this mission, you completely forgot that this is also where a very bad person has been imprisoned. His name's Illidan Stormrage, otherwise known as Illidan the Betrayer. And Tyrande's like, hey, that's your brother. He can help us fight the Legion. Let's set him free. I'm sure he's fine now. And Malfurion's like, his name's the Betrayer, okay? And then Tyrande's like, I don't need no man telling me what to do. So they split up, Malfurion wakes up the Druids, Tyrande kills all the fucking Wardens, and Illidan sets himself free. Sure does. Really? You got nothing to say about Illidan?
Nope. I do later, though.
So the three meet back up, and that goes about as well as you'd expect. And then Illidan heads off to Felwood to totally not betray anyone. So this mission starts up with Illidan brooding, and then Arthas shows up.
There's that beautiful bastard.
He shows up to spar with Illidan and tempts him with the allure of power.
Yes.
An artifact called the Skull of Gul'dan.
Yes.
Just go ahead and finish, please.
Thank you. So my boy Arthas tells my new boy Illidan that the Skull of Gul'dan is responsible for corrupting these lands. And naturally, Illidan understands that absorbing the powers from the skull, rather than simply destroying it, would grant him more power than he's ever imagined. So he does just that, and kills that stupid red bastard Tichondrius in the process, which is a hell of a thing to do, because this part of the mission sucks ass.
Yes, it did.
But by doing so, you free Fairwood in the process, so I guess win-win. Then his weak brother shows up and gets pissed because he doesn't understand the price of power. And then the cretin banishes him.
But not to worry. I'm sure he'll return to fight those who are not prepared. Time to save Azeroth. Tyrande and Malfurion meet up with Jaina and Thrall because a magical Stormcrow told him to. I'll give you one guess on who the Stormcrow was. The Prophet shows up and finally reveals that he is Medivh, the last Guardian, which meant absolutely nothing to me at the time, and means a lot to me now, especially after I read the neat little book that I don't have anymore. But he works his magic and he gets everyone to work together to fight the Legion. And fight them we shall. Eternity's End caps off this epic game with an equally epic final mission. Not only is it a holdout mission, it is a holdout mission to end all holdout missions. 45 minutes of non-stop hell. Jaina and Thrall both have full bases completely loaded to the rim. There's mercenary camps, there's extra gold mines completely out of the way and protected, the whole 9 yards. Your only goal in this mission is to survive that 45 minutes until a trap can be set at the base of the World Tree for the big blue space goat himself. This mission truly feels like a battle that will decide the fate of an entire world. I spam Starfire. I spam Tranquility. I bought mercenaries. I spammed Dryads. I built bases in their bases to constantly reinforce my lines. I did everything. The first time I played this as a child, I beat it the first time. Yes, I beat this fucker the first time. He whittled me all the way down to my own base, and I barely had anything left, but by God, I did it. In the end, Archimonde falls for the trap and gets fucking spirit nuked. We're talking like Horus levels of evaporated. In conclusion, I love this game, but you already knew that. Yes, Spyro is a dragon, and that's technically fantasy, but not like this. This game was an enormous milestone for both my love of video games and my life. I only played Diablo 2 because it was in the little advertisement booklet that used to come with these games. I got into Dungeons & Dragons and various other tabletop games because of Warcraft 3. And I met all of my close friends that I'm still friends with today because of D&D. I play Warhammer because I played Warcraft 3. I played World of Warcraft for nearly a decade because of Warcraft 3. I don't play MMOs. I play Warcraft. Played World of Warcraft. I don't anymore, but that's a whole other thing. I started in the happy, colorful, fun-time world of dragons, then found my way to the war-torn battlefields of Azeroth. Now, I take a step into the shadows, into the world of survival horror.